Guys, starting, running, and scaling a business is really, really hard. There, there are a million systems. There's a million, people selling you some sort of a quick, easy scheme, a process. Um, but I'll tell you, and I do have a lot of experience with this. I've started 12 different businesses. We still operate 7 different businesses. That means a fair amount of those businesses no longer exist for one reason or another. Um, we built a construction company up to doing $6 million a year, had a partnership dissolve, then started up another construction company that now does $10 million a year. We from buying one old junky house in Pittsburgh, Kansas when I was going to college at Pittsburgh State, to scaling that up to owning hundreds of homes, well, not homes, hundreds of units currently, and having a third-party management business that started from that same one house that I bought in college and growing it to manage over 2,000 properties across 5 cities. I went from just myself running around doing everything, trying to figure it out, to bringing my wife in to work with me in 2012, to bringing a partner in, in 2010, 11. To now we employ over 50 people when you take into account real estate agents as well. And it's just almost every day, very difficult things happen, challenging things come up that you have to make decisions about, that you have to really think through and decide how to handle. When you're going through that process, when you first start, it's hard because you actually have to run around and do all the work. The good thing about that is that you have full control, right? So I can be really, really good. I can make sure I can do everything in my power to make sure I'm really, really good when it's just me. Then you get to a place where you literally can't possibly do it all, or at least hopefully your business grows to a point where you can't possibly do it all. And things start to falter and you start to fail. And some of your customers, clients could be unhappy during this period. Then you try to hire people. And at first you don't have a lot of money. So you hire someone who is probably inexpensive, probably doesn't have the experience that you really need. And you muddle through that and you basically get them to do some things for you. But it's not really a system. It's not really somebody that can just take over things and own things. And then once you start making some real money and you can afford to hire people, at least in my case, I'm a slow learner. It takes me a long time to figure things out. I was still trying to keep my payroll costs down, and I wasn't viewing our team and the people who help us run the business or businesses as an investment. And I think really in the last few years we've shifted our mindset and realized how important having the right team is. People that have the character, the cultural fit, the skill set, the experience that you need for the job that you're hiring for. It's like the number one thing. And guess what? They're still human beings. They still make occasional mistakes. You still are sometimes not going to please everybody all the time, even when you do it really, really well, even when you're really, really efficient, even when you hit it out of the park 90+% of the time, you're still going to make some people unhappy. Sometimes you're going to think you've hired the greatest person in the world and it's going to be a giant mistake. And they're going to create a million more problems for you than you even thought imaginable, because of lack of, intelligence, lack of skill set and experience, lack of character. Those even though on paper, everything looks great. And I will just tell you, I'm 17 years into this entrepreneurial journey now. And, we've had a little bit of success. Things are pretty good. But in 2023, we started a new business that we had no experience in. We started a franchising business and a software startup at the very same time. And so I've thrown myself right back into that mix, multiple times over in that 17 years, where I'm reinvesting more money back into the company than the company is generating. And, I'm hiring new people and training new people and, creating new problems for, my wife and I and our team to solve. And, I think people have this vision of it gets easier. I think people have this vision, and probably if you just did the same thing over and over again, and you just repeated it over and over again, and it was a relatively simple process, and it wasn't an operationally heavy business with lots of little microtransactions and moving parts in it, you could get to a place where it was pretty dialed in. We don't do that. We never stand pat. We're constantly pushing, constantly growing, and constantly trying to make things better for our customers. And sometimes when you do that, you screw it up. And maybe you get it wrong, the way that you think you're adding value to your customers. And I think everyone should try this once in their lives, just so that they can see, like, when they react to something that's happened with a particular business, like they go to a restaurant and they have a bad experience or something. If they had tried to do this themselves and they realize how hard it is to be perfect, how actually inhuman and impossible it is to be perfect in this effort, especially when you're trying really hard to get better, and you're trying really hard to grow, and you're trying really hard to serve more customers. That kind of change, that kind of growth creates challenges that I think most people will never understand. And, I guess I just wanted, if there's some of you out there who are building a business, running a business, starting a business, or thinking about starting a business, I just wanted you to know that it is not going to be easy. It is not going to always be fun. You're going to have days where you absolutely hate the decision that you've made, the situation that you've put yourself in. And I think the main thing is that, you just keep going and you don't quit. So if you're out there thinking about starting a business, running a business, struggling, this message really for you, just to keep pushing, keep going, because it does get better, and someday it could all be worth it.